spirit of the Rhino means so much more, the future, the now, and what's been before. That was a line from our membership video recently, Kev, which tries to communicate the importance of the spirit of the Rhino, what it means to us as a club. And we've understood it for a long time, certainly when we graced that pitch, the hallowed turf there, and I fulfilled a boyhood dream over the course of 20 years, understood what that galvanising relationship was between the players, but it's very hard to describe to somebody who's not engaged with it without ever having experienced it. It's a little bit like trying to describe love. It's something that's best experienced. In particular, the way that the Greeks break it down into 5 different words, and I'm talking specifically about brotherhood now. And in 2020, which has been one of the most difficult years for everybody for a multitude of different reasons, I think it shone through more now than it ever has done. This relationship, this transcendent spiritual glue that held those players, that generation together. And there's 2 examples I want to give you to talk about specifically that have happened this year. Number one, on 12th of January, when we had one last opportunity to run out on this pitch together and experience one more game and wrap ourselves around another comrade and brother in Rob Burrow, who's obviously had a very difficult time with him and his family in 2020, which has been very well documented. We love each other, we love him, and for me at that time it was the most important part of my career for all the right reasons, because it underpinned the foundation behind that brotherhood. But even more recently and exponentially bigger was the 7 marathons in 7 days that you ran, which not just transcended rugby league in the north but nationally. And I wanted to ask you, Kev, what did that experience tell you about the spirit of the Rhino, the brotherhood, and what lasting memory has it had for Kevin Sinfield?
Yeah, really tough question. I reckon you sum it up great. And if you talk about the spirit of the Rhino and what it actually means to me, it is quite difficult to find something that's similar, that explains it to people. But I reckon for religious people, it'd be our Holy Spirit.
Right.
It'd be what actually you can't see or touch, but you know it's there. And it's something that you all believe in and trust in, and you're prepared to invest in it because you know that when somebody within that group or the team or the club or our support base or our sponsors falls on some tough times, that spirit will shine through and come and look after you, and that's what being part of this big club means, that it looks after you when you need it. So to be involved in the game on the 12th, which was something I always wanted to do for you. And for those who don't know, I was always planning on having a couple of minutes for you.
Brilliant.
But I think with what happened with Rob as well, and the combination of both of you was so powerful for everybody who was here. It was so emotional, and then for that whole group to come together. And I know there's probably another 20 or 30 players who would have loved to have stepped out and loved to have played on that day and been a part of it, but you absolutely know that at any moment they'd have been shoulder to shoulder with all of us and been out there with us. So that's what the spirit is. It's letting each other know that we care for each other, we love each other, we respect each other, but when we truly need each other, the Batman call goes out and people respond and people come out and help each other. And as you know, you mentioned the marathons there. The marathons was something that gave me and the team we had and put together an opportunity to raise a bit more money for Rob, and certainly to raise some awareness, which he's done remarkably well this year, on his own through the film he did with the BBC. So to be able to give him a bit more comfort going into Christmas, to be able for him to wake up Christmas morning with Lindsay and the kids and understand that he could just enjoy the day and not have to worry about what was to come or the financials or any other bits and pieces that we all would as people who've got families. So then for it to do what it did was unbelievable. None of us could have dreamt what has happened. I think the greatest gift we all have is helping people and feeling like you made a difference, and to have the support we all got, to have certainly Rob and his family right behind us, to have the M&D Association right behind us, to be really proud to wear that vest that represented both of them, but then to represent the full M&D community. And that's years gone by of family members who remember loved ones who've been challenged by this disease and passed away, and to have people now who are struggling and fighting through M&D, to have that full community behind us was something that was so special, and that probably epitomises what this club's about. When we can work together, when we need to call upon each other, we do, and we just get it done.
Obviously, as a director of rugby right now, and your influence within the club going forward into the present and obviously the future, and myself as an assistant coach, want to continue that momentum for a multitude of reasons, because we want people to have the same sort of experiences that we've had, and to be able to look after each other and value some of those virtues as well. I've been blown away at some of the response that it's had and how it has touched the hearts and minds of specifically some of the young people. There's a young lad called Isaac Lawley, who is about 9 or 10 years old, played for Batley Bulldogs, and decided off at back of your marathons that he was going to do a mile a day for 7 days, bless him, and did it with his little teammates as well on the last day. Raised a little bit of money. But have you been surprised at how it has changed some of the hearts and minds of the people that surround us?
Very much so. I think if we just mention Isaac there, I first met him down at Wembley the day before we played Challenge Cup final, so he was down there with his mum and dad and couldn't obviously go into the game and watch the game, but they were all there in the Rhinos shirts and supporting the team from outside. So I think it's remarkable what he's done. I think the money we have raised will do so many brilliant things, but probably more importantly, the awareness. People now understand what M&D is, or have researched it, or and just have a better grip of what this cruel disease does. People love Rob, we've seen that, and people are prepared now to, whether it's on the back of us, whether it's because of the increased awareness, I don't think it matters, but the fact of the matter is people are out there doing bits of great things like Isaac have done. You know, I keep getting some stories at the minute of people who are doing incredible things on the back of, and you know, there was one last week who was doing 100 press-ups a day, and this guy's got M&D and he's had it for a few years. So there's some remarkable stuff that's going on, and I think that team, I know the club have had a huge involvement in the 7 in 7, but everybody involved in it, you know, should feel pretty proud, because we haven't made a difference, and ultimately we set out trying to help a teammate, a former teammate, a good friend, and I just don't think it gets any better than people getting out and doing their own little bit. People feel like they're making a difference, and it's a special time for everybody leading up to Christmas, and everybody's had such a difficult year that to be able to send some little sparks of hope for people, I think is really important.
Yeah, it's massive, especially going into 2021 after the COVID year. But I just wanted to ask you about something that's really simple and might even be really obvious, but I think it's really, really important. And you said it first to me in Spain on pre-season camp. I think we ran pretty much every day together, and you said those who train together stay together, and it's really powerful. During the lockdown and periods this year, I've spent a lot of time with my wife, and it's really galvanised our relationship. You said it on Sunday when I was fortunate to do the second Leeds marathon with you. You said it again, and it stuck with me. And this idea of coming together for physical and mental health reasons, overcoming a challenge together, is what actually builds and galvanises those relationships. So, you know, how important is it for people to get out there, challenge themselves, commit to something that's going to get them physically active to create those bonds?
Yeah, I think it's vital. I think it's vital for the whole society. We all know how important keeping fit is for physical well-being, but also for your mental well-being. So you're absolutely right. You know, I do believe that those who train together stay together. And probably, you know, when you think about our group, we spent all those years training together. Well, we still come out now and look after each other when we need to, and I think you don't forget that.
Yeah.
I think, but to forge those relationships, and I think to help them grow and prosper, going through some of those tough moments together where you've got to give each other a nudge and say, come on, we can get through this. And at different moments, it could be you driving it or someone else. That's all being part of the team and helping each other. And ultimately, that's what we're all here for and all what it's about. we all enjoy each other's company. I do think it's really important. If we can all do our own little bit, the place will be a whole lot better.
Phil Jackson is one of the greatest modern day coaches in world sport. Obviously the coach of the Chicago Bulls and the LA Lakers during their prime years, coaching people like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaq O'Neal, and he's got a book called 11 Rings, and I haven't read it yet, I'll be honest with you, but I've seen enough and heard enough podcasts, seen enough of him to understand the premise, the foundation behind the book. And you mentioned earlier our version of the Holy Spirit. It talks about the spirit within a group, a selfless, sacrificial spirit. Now I look under my bed and I've got 8 grand final rings, but each one's got a different story. God willing, you know, in our roles going forward we might achieve some more in the coming years. But how important is it to communicate and impress upon the next generation and everybody who comes into the club from the academy up, you know, foreigners coming in and the fans, and communicating that message going forward into the future?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think we all know this club is special. We've been lucky enough to feel how special it is. But I think when players play here and feel the support from every angle, they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that sets us apart, because you know, I don't know what it's like anywhere else.
Yep.
But I do know that this place looks after me better than, in my own opinion, better than anywhere else would have done. So it's really important when we're bringing new people into the club, whether they're overseas players, whether they're young players, whether they're sponsors, whether they're new supporters, that they get to feel that as well. And the minute they get to feel that, they won't want to go.
And it's really important that it took me a long time to overlook the fact that you are a Lancastrian, you are a bit of a sojourner coming in and outsider, but at the minute, mate, certainly for a long time, probably infinitely an iconic part of Leeds. And I really want to talk about Leeds because we're at pitchside now, and for us the journey's been on there playing rugby league, but actually what I felt in 2020 is, whether you're looking at Rob Burrow on the side of Leeds Beckett's University, you've got BL, Sir Kev and Phillips on the side of houses, really important sporting icons plastered all over Leeds. That really tells the story of what Leeds people are all about, and we've assimilated and adopted this continuous and galvanising message that we are Leeds, marching on together, all Leeds aren't we. And I wanted to ask you, you know, when that spirit not just covers Leeds Rhinos but Leeds United and all these other people, how important is sport in general for bringing people together? And certainly our role going into 2021 in creating that hope coming out of what's been a really difficult COVID year.
I'll start by saying Leeds is a really special city. I think I've said it a million times, but Oldham is certainly my town, and I'm proud to be from Oldham, still live there, but Leeds is definitely my city. It always has been, and I've been connected with the city since I was 13, so it's a long time. I've got so many great friends here, I've had so many great memories. Yeah, most of them might be here, but I don't think there's another city like it where you feel the sporting teams actually like each other.
Yeah. And
although they do compete in some ways, they're very much combined. And I think, you know, the Rhinos, the Tykes, Leeds United, you know, Rhinos netball team, our women's team. There's so many great, the Brownlee brothers, Josh, as you mentioned, there's so many great things sporting wise in Leeds, and we should be celebrating that and using it to bring that hope. Because we've talked about how those who train together stay together. Well, let's encourage that. Let's try and use that for hope and get people together and continue to, hopefully when we can get crowds back, let them share in some of that love and respect. And we know we have a great fan base here who have missed it so much, and we've missed them, but actually for them to come back and understand that time away, absence makes the heart grow stronger. Hopefully, you know, the people of Leeds will really get behind its sporting teams and make the city as special as it can be.